What's poppin', y'all? In a very bizarre turn of events, when 50 Cent was trying to do something that most people found positive, a Louisiana artist, who some will say is a one-hit wonder, I don't know if they're stamping him as a Louisiana legend, but he did make some massive achievements, decided to go in on him, and it turned into this back and forth beef over the next 2 weeks. However, we should circle back to see what 50 Cent was doing in the first place, and then we'll break down exactly what happened in the beef, and then when we got our conclusion or resolution, if we got that. So 50 Cent, as of late, in the past, we could say 10 years, he's been very, very, very focused on not just music, which he hasn't really been focused on, but films. So he's been doing TV shows, he's been doing different types of movies, for instance. We could say this started around 2013, 2014. There was this reality series called Dream School, where it's a bunch of teens that are given a chance to succeed through education. And 50 Cent was the executive producer, and he appeared on this show. So he was doing some acting as well as production. This was 2013-14. Then 2014, we get Power, which is a crime series about a drug dealer trying to make it in life. And this was a smash hit. I mean, you had Power that lasted from 2014 to 2020. It got him a Stars deal. This was one of the biggest hit shows. People loved it. I still have not even watched a single episode. That's not to knock it or anything. I just don't know why I haven't watched it, to be honest. I just didn't have Stars. I was more on HBO and Netflix during this span of time. But we're not going to get too much into me yet. But the success of Power spawned Power Book 2, Ghost, Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Power Book 4, I think even. So this ended up with a bunch of different spin-offs. In the meantime, during those 6 years, 50 Cent also produced this sketch comedy series called 50 Central. This one only ran for one season. That was on BET. And then there was this brief show called The Oath that aired for 2 seasons. But this went back to when initially in 2010, that's when he first revived G-Unit Films. And he's been partnering with stuff ever since. The most recent one, which has also been a very, very big success, was none other than the BMF series, which, of course, circles back to the BMF family that were big, big, big drug runners in the South, Black Mafia family. And it focused on them. It's a dramatization, massive success as well. 50 Cent's trying to become more of a mogul. And in that, he wants to do what the Medea movies also by Tyler Perry, executive produced and starred in, what Tyler Perry did in Atlanta, Georgia, which is he created this whole entire damn near city within a city of production studios where people can film. He could rent it out for other people to film. There's different sets. People live there. And it was a huge success and really, really took him to the next level. And it was very, very innovative as well. So 50 Cent decided to mirror this and take it to none other than Shreveport, Louisiana. There was a KSLA news article, which is the news article for Louisiana. And as you can see on your screen, they have some mock-ups of what it's supposed to look like. So you've got G-Unit, Film and Television. You've got these different studios. And in the article, it says the following. The councilwoman says, "You see that rebirthing that is here, but to actually think that our city is gaining nationwide attention from a mogul that has a significant investment here gives birth to our children." A councilman, Alan Jackson, said, "What this means is Shreveport could be on the trajectory to be one of the fastest growing cities, not only with population, but with economic development. He's actually looking to exercise and utilize local talent that is here. And that local talent can range from business owners to actors or whatever it is that your skill set is. So this guy's going to bring jobs. He's going to bring tourism. If everything goes well and this continues to succeed, it's probably going to bring property values up too." So during the visit that he made, this was in April of 2024. So this was months ago before this spat that's about to happen. 50 Cent visited with different city leaders, representatives, people in local government, and he was just giving them the plan. So they were doing all these renovations, and the grand opening was supposed to be in August, which, if we fast forward to August, that's when this all started. 50 Cent hosted this very, very big homecoming grand opening festival that had a ton of artists performing there, that had all the media from across the nation there, hip-hop media and general mainstream media, hosting this weekend called Humor and Harmony Weekend, 50 Cent Presents. It was from Thursday, August 8th to Saturday, August 10th. And you had comedy shows. You had people like Andrew Schultz. You had DC Young Fly. You had Cat Williams, Michael Blackson, a ton of different people. You had performances in concert by Moneybagg Yo, 50 Cent, A Boogie, DaBaby, 2 Chainz, Flo Rida, many, many other people. You even had artists from Louisiana, such as Fredo Bang performing there, and probably a couple of others that I don't really recall off the top of my head that I can associate being from Louisiana. But I think he had Master P perform there too. He had appearances. You could even see P. Thomas from QC, Top Dog from TDE, Terrell Owens. So there's a consortium of different people from all over the US in media. Big event. And a lot of people enjoyed it. They liked what he was doing. One of those people that decided to not like what he was doing and speak out was none other than Hurricane Chris. Now, I wouldn't say this is irony, but Hurricane Chris, he's most known for his hit single, A Baby, back in 2007. He's a Shreveport, Louisiana native. A Baby went top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. I think it peaked at number 7. It was a smash hit back then. You heard it everywhere. I think it fell under the umbrella of crunk, I would say. It wasn't just like purely a hip hop song. But that song did very well. After that, he really didn't have too much success in his career. He released some mixtapes. I think he had his own little buzz, but that song should have been good enough to carry him for a while. However, Hurricane Chris had gotten into a spat with someone else, a confrontation at a gas station, and he killed the person. And he was facing a murder charge. And he had just recently beat that murder charge, I think, in the past year or so, but that was something he was going through for 2 to 3 years. I did an entire video on that on the main channel, which you could check out if you want to. So Hurricane Chris was able to beat that. He said it was self-defense. He said there was footage and everything, and he just believed that people in the government, they just really wanted to stick this on him. So he got past that. And this is what he had to say about 50 Cent. This is one of the most illogical, ridiculous, stupid, moronic takes I've probably seen all year. Now, this guy, number one, he says, oh, you didn't book 2 other people who are probably artists that outside of Louisiana, maybe if I'm being charitable, outside of a couple of southern states nobody has ever heard of. But I think he just used them as fluff to drop 2 names before he says, how you don't book no Hurricane Chris. So he's salty. He didn't get booked. But I don't think that's the entirety of it. We can explore everything else he said. Oh, you bought land here because it's cheap. Duh, dummy. Oh, because you couldn't do it where you were at. So riddle me this, Hurricane Chris. 50 Cent, instead of building this huge production studio in Louisiana, he should just do it in New York, where he's from, or in LA, which of course it would be significantly more expensive, where nobody's going to get any jobs from Louisiana. And he's basically saying, hey, you know what? Just keep it over there. And since you're not going to book me and do it the way that I would like you to do it, then yeah, just don't bring any jobs here. Don't bring any opportunity here. Don't shine any light here. Because if we're being real, on a national scale, nationwide, when you think of Shreveport, Louisiana, you don't think of Shreveport, Louisiana. Let's be honest. If you're thinking Louisiana, you're thinking New Orleans, maybe Baton Rouge because a lot of the artists, but Shreveport, Louisiana is really not on people's radars. So he's putting it on people's radars and he's shining a good light on it because he even said people in Louisiana, Shreveport, all they know is jail. So if that's the reputation that it had that comes from your mouth, Hurricane Chris, you don't think it's way better for somebody to come in there and they think Shreveport and they're like, oh yeah, that's where the movies are. That's where Power was filmed. That's where BMF was filmed. That's where 50 Cent's at now. Yeah, I heard such great things about it. You don't think that's better? He's like, oh, these white people using you. I think Hurricane Chris wants some sort of charity. And he said, oh, you paid $500,000 to the police. Yeah, why wouldn't he? What's better? Him paying $500,000 to police to make sure that this event that he's running, a grand opening for a massive investment that he's made with investment partners for the next 30 years. He got like a 30-year lease for this thing. For the next 30 years, what's better? Him having $500,000 spent on police to make sure everyone's safe. Keep in mind, you've also got all of these other successful people in media that are coming there to perform. Many people's first time out in Louisiana. And you don't think Shreveport natives know that? So what happens in LA a lot? People get robbed. So in Shreveport, Louisiana, I imagine people were licking their chops. So do you think it would be better if he didn't pay police officers? And then someone gets robbed. God forbid someone gets shot. Even more, God forbid someone gets killed. And now that's the headline for Shreveport, Louisiana. That looks great for 50 Cent. That looks great for your city, Hurricane Chris. And I'm sure that would turn out great, wouldn't it? Or what would Hurricane Chris say? Nah, bring some people from the streets and have them do security. Yeah, so they can backdoor people and let their homies in that are going to rob somebody. That 1 day, 2 day, 3 day security paycheck isn't going to be the same as if they rob some chains off of somebody that's going to be performing there. So what are we doing here? What's the alternative? That's the real frustration that I had. It wasn't even frustration because I don't expect anything better to come out of Hurricane Chris's mind when I heard this. It's kind of like, where is your mind even going? Is it even operating? This is kind of like just completely out of emotion. And nobody else from Louisiana, people that weren't even booked to perform, went out there and said something like this. He just came out of nowhere. So it continues. 50 Cent decides to poke some fun at him. 50 Cent posts on IG, says, Hurricane Flex. Boy, your ish is whack. The F you think, you Fredo Bang? Your stuff gets no play in my ride. And then he goes on Twitter and he says, oh no. So you gonna play that one hit song you got? Bebe just went on stage with Master P. LOL. And then he links gunitbrands.com. And 50 Cent's just clowning him, which he should. 50 Cent doesn't need to justify what he's doing. Not only that, 50 Cent has never been somebody to justify what he's doing, even when other people felt like he needed to. Like when he went at, I think it was Oprah or something, they're like, oh, he's going so hard on women, this and that. He doesn't even explain the reason why he has problems with people. He has a problem with someone, he just keeps going in on them. And it is what it is. People can take from that what they will. I think he even went the same thing with Chelsea Handler. Regardless, even though he is right, in some cases, he doesn't explain himself when there would be a legitimate reason to do so. So in this case, with Hurricane Chris, he just swatted it like a fly, as it should, because nobody else was talking about this. So what does Hurricane Chris do? Does he cool off, use his brain a little bit, and then come back and say, you know what, I was tripping? Well, let's just see what Hurricane Chris says. So he's got, is that a Toronto Raptors jersey? It's a pretty cool jersey he's got on. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if it's Vince Carter or whatever, but he's got the do-rag combo on. Not gonna lie, it's a fly fit that Hurricane Chris got on with the red seatbelt too. I gotta show some love. You know, when I see something fly, I gotta say it's fly. Regardless, what came out of his mouth, pause, no diddy, it was not fly at all. He's just going on another ramble talking about, 50 Cent's a culture vulture. So this is the funniest thing ever. He calls him a culture vulture, but he says he has no idea anything about Shreveport, Louisiana culture. So how could he possibly be vulturing the culture? You said he came here for land. He found something that's cheap. Does Hurricane Chris understand what's coming out of his mouth? Now, he could say he's, predatory? I don't know if that's the case. He said you found something you want to profit from. Yeah, incentive alignments. So if 50 Cent's got zero incentive to be in Shreveport, Louisiana, he benefits nothing from it. He didn't grow up in Shreveport, Louisiana. He probably doesn't have any immediate family in Shreveport, Louisiana. He probably doesn't have many close friends in Shreveport, Louisiana before this. Why would 50 Cent go out of his way to just dump a bunch of money in Shreveport, Louisiana? Answer me that. He wouldn't. Otherwise, why wouldn't he do it in any other city? So number one, that's ridiculous. Number two, it's not sustainable. So if 50 Cent just dumps a bunch of money in Shreveport, Louisiana, the money's just going to disappear. It's going to get spent. As opposed to 50 Cent creating jobs that can pay people over years, and then those same people will spend money in that community, raising the value of the community. And on top of that, 50 Cent's going to make more profit, so he's going to have more incentive to scale the operation that he's got, and everything's going to get bigger and better. But I don't think Hurricane Chris looks at it like that. I don't think Hurricane Chris really looks at it much at all. And why does he need to know anything about the city? He knows that he knows enough. He knows that there's land there. He knows that he can build his studio there. And he knows that, I guess, there's enough labor or whatever to go there. He's not doing a documentary or a film on Shreveport, Louisiana. I could understand if he did that. He's like, you don't know the history of this place. And he's not documenting the place. He's just at the place. It's like telling somebody that just moved to a city, do you know what the city's about? Do you know the culture of this city? And the person just moved there. Let him learn a little bit over time. And this criticism would be valid if 50 Cent was doing some sort of historical documentary about the city or about individuals from the city. And if it was a documentary that came out and Hurricane Chris comes out, he's like, man, you don't really get the culture of this city. Nah, this didn't happen like that. You should have tapped in with me. I would have given you some insight. I've been making music here since '05. I've been touring this area. I've got mixtapes with X, Y, and Z person. I can lead you to the right producers that know the history of this place, know the culture, know everything that it's went through, all the ups and downs. That's a valid criticism. In this case, there is no valid criticism. This is a business, and Hurricane Chris is upset that someone's going to make money from business, which is the entire point of a business, to generate money. If it's not generating money, what is it, a nonprofit? And that's not what 50 Cent's running. But thankfully, somebody that was blessed to be on that stage was Fredo Bang, who I don't think he's from Shreveport, although I'm sure he's done a bunch of different performances in Shreveport, Louisiana throughout time. But he's from Baton Rouge, because he was beefing with Youngboy. Youngboy's from Baton Rouge, so I'm pretty sure that's where he's from. But Fredo Bang comes out to defend 50 Cent, and he says the following. And he also, I wouldn't say he goes in on Hurricane Chris. Let me play you guys the clip, and then you can deduct from it what you will.
If he ain't book no Louisiana artists, Louisiana legends, who I am there.
So Fredo Bang, he just, because initially he was saying that he didn't book any Louisiana artists. That's what Hurricane Chris was saying about 50 Cent. And then Fredo Bang comes out, very polite response. He doesn't get into a conflict or anything with Hurricane Chris. I'm sure the guy listened to Hurricane Chris coming up and really enjoyed his music. He's a stamp. I remember Hurricane Chris. I remember A Bay Bay. That brings me fond memories, and I'm nowhere near the South. So I think Fredo Bang, especially somebody being from Louisiana, didn't want to come confrontational, and he just says, hey, you said he didn't book Louisiana artists. Look at me. I'm on stage. Now, is Hurricane Chris going to be like, nah, I meant from Shreveport. All right, now you're just making this very, very, very difficult. How many artists even have come out of Shreveport, Louisiana? And you've got to put something appealing enough that on a flyer that other people are going to be like, oh, I really want to go there. So I think he did the best he could. And what are we going to put? Hurricane Chris to perform some songs that nobody knows, or one song? They could just have the DJ run it. But I will say, I think Hurricane Chris should have been on there. He had a massive hit song. I don't know what came about that he wasn't performing there. But I will say, even though Hurricane Chris doesn't want to admit that a lot of this is because he didn't get to perform, I will say myself, I believe Hurricane Chris should have been on there. Maybe he was just overlooked, because when you're thinking about artists, you're either thinking about legends, right, that had a long-lasting career. Let's say, for instance, Master P. Fredo Bang's newer, and we wouldn't call Fredo Bang a legend. But you're just thinking about artists that have lasted a very, very long time. And keep in mind, there might be conflicting schedules. So Boosie, of course, Louisiana legend. Who knows what other people? I can't think of off the top of my head. And you got to keep in mind, there's budgets for this type of thing. So he's not throwing a massive festival where he might need a huge budget for all of these people. We don't know the budgetary restrictions. But regardless, I think Hurricane Chris falls into this area where he was really only lit for a couple of years, maybe 3 at the max. And people might have just not thought of his name when they said, hey, we're booking some artists. And I don't think 50 Cent was handpicking all of these people. I do think he was involved because, 50 Cent, music is his thing, and he's really, really, really tapped in. You guys remember the Pop Smoke era. So yeah, I will say, I believe that Hurricane Chris should have been on there. Looking back in retrospect, would I have thought of Hurricane Chris initially? I don't know. And this wasn't just Louisiana artists. This was just successful artists in general. Keep in mind, one of the quotes 50 Cent said about how soon the city would see benefits from his investment, he said, it won't take 10 years, maybe like 3. When this much attention is brought on, everybody else starts to come and get a piece of it. I've experienced in other opportunities that people will be attracted and get involved and do other things around it. So you'll see it move a lot faster. Not everything is going to be me, but it'll happen because they saw something and ask, why did he go there? So it creates an onslaught of people coming to do things. And then he continues and cites Tyler Perry, saying, you've seen the good things that Tyler Perry has done for Atlanta, and this will mirror that to a degree. And then when he said, oh, what are you doing for the kids in Shreveport, Louisiana? He says, G-Unity is a project where I work with Houston's Independent School District and created an entrepreneurship program because students don't have the ability to have business courses given to you until you get to college. I'll do it here too, starting by bringing it to those rougher areas because that's where I was at. I'm a little bit selfish in that way, but I'll get to the whole of Shreveport with that. It was 75 kids in the program initially out of 3 schools, and 69 of the 75 were employed before the program was done. So here's 50 Cent saying that he's eyeing specifically the most underserved communities, that he would bring this program that he had in Houston to Shreveport. But do you think Hurricane Chris looked into this article? Which, keep in mind, this was from a Shreveport news website where I'm getting this from. No, of course not. He just reacted based off of emotions. So Hurricane Chris gets left on ice for a while by 50 Cent. It's not addressed. And then towards the end of August, 10 or so days after all of this stuff happens, maybe 2 weeks, he goes on KSLA News, which is the local news outlet. And when asked the following, he replies, I'll play you guys the clip right now.
No hate for 50 Cent. The Human Harmony Fest, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad 50 Cent came to Shreveport. Let's start off with that.
So you guys just heard that clip. I'm going to try to fix the audio. If I can't fix it, it is what it is. The clip that they put on their own site is playing out of the left ear as I'm listening to it. But he said it's a misunderstanding. There is no miscommunication. There's no misunderstanding. This was completely one way. You could clearly see Hurricane Chris flipped upside down. Maybe someone tapped him on the shoulder that he respects. He's like, hey, bro, you're tripping. Or he just saw all the comments on social media and maybe cooled off and was thinking, huh? Or he realized, hey, I'm living in this city. Why would I, mess things up? Just heat of the moment thing. 50 Cent, there was no misunderstanding from his behalf. 50 Cent did not really throw any personal shots or insults at Hurricane Chris. He just poked a couple of in good fun jokes at him. 50 Cent usually goes way harder than that. So he cut Hurricane Chris some slack. And Hurricane Chris is now coming on some, now we need to sit down. He don't need to sit down with you. Hurricane Chris is lucky if he sits down. And then Hurricane Chris says, yeah, if I went to his community, I wouldn't be able to do that. Who says you wouldn't be able to? Southside Jamaica, Queens is where 50 Cent is from. That area, where are you even going to build anything? There's not even really much space in Southside Jamaica, Queens. Have you guys ever been there? I know some of you guys have been there. I used to go out there quite frequently when I was significantly younger. Area's changed a good amount though. And I was definitely not there when 50 Cent was young. So even if he went there, I think 50 Cent would welcome him. I think 50 Cent would be like, this guy's bringing millions, tens of millions of dollars to my city or my area, I guess you could call it, neighborhood. Yeah, I'm going to give him a warm welcome. And then I'm going to be like, hey man, we need some help here. This is what you can assist us with. This is what our people are struggling with, X, Y, and Z. You don't stick the person up like, who are you to think you can come here and build something? What? And it's not like, the way that Hurricane Chris described it is that 50 Cent came in there, dug some gold, he just got all the gold and he's about to dip out. And I mean this in the literal sense. Like, of course it's a metaphor, but when you're building infrastructure and you're building studios, it's clear that you're going to be there for a very long time. It's not a makeshift pop-up studio that he's just going to fold back and leave. It's a commitment over a long time. The reason why I use the gold example is because, you could just mine something and take it and leave. But that's not the case with what 50 Cent is doing or that industry as a whole. I just hope that comparison sat well with you guys, or I explained it well. Now, regardless, I think Hurricane Chris has cooled off. I don't even know if Hurricane Chris makes music anymore. To be fair, actually, when he had that second-degree murder charge, there was a song that he released, and he was releasing a couple of songs that were kind of nice. I remember talking about them. Oh yeah, Halle Berry was another song that he had that was doing decent. Was it Hurricane Season 2? I don't remember. But if you guys were to check out Hurricane Chris on YouTube and just see some of the music videos that he dropped a year ago or about a year or two ago, I don't remember the exact names, they were some decent joints. And the reason why I checked them out was because not only did he have the Vlad interview, but there was a second-degree murder charge, and I was doing research for that video on him. But see, as you can see here, Hurricane Chris, yes, he's a one-hit wonder, maybe a 1.5 hit wonder. But I can admit, Hurricane Chris, you dropped some nice songs in the past couple of years. Hurricane Chris can't just sit down and admit, hey, I was tripping, 50 Cent, I was wildin'. Now he's trying to backtrack, and I understand public embarrassment and all that. But I don't think anybody would feel it. I think 50 Cent would be more likely to sit down with Hurricane Chris for Hurricane Chris saying, I was tripping, 50 Cent, man, you bring a lot of opportunity. I talked to some people. They told me all the good that you're trying to do. I was just heated because I didn't get picked to perform. It is what it is. Sometimes we have a lapse of judgment, and I just went on there emotional on the internet. I think most of us would look at it like, man, that's very stand up, you're taking accountability for what you did. And at that point, maybe he would have a conversation with them. Or in general, I don't think we'd look at Hurricane Chris any less for doing that. If anything, we'd have more respect for him. Like, man, you know what happens? It is what it is. Keep it pushing. And hopefully they can build something great in Shreveport, Louisiana, of all places. And I know for a fact a bunch of people from Shreveport are going to be watching this. And it's no hate, but just even if you're from there, imagine that city tagline being named as like, yo, that's the place. Or yo, they're doing big things out there. It's almost unfathomable. And I think that's a positive thing, because if he's able to change the perception of a city that doesn't even really have a perception for most other cities and states in America, let alone we don't know what the perception of it is in Louisiana. Louisiana is a relatively poor state. I mean, it's not like Mississippi. But for it to be able to change and manifest like, oh, G-Unit films and studios, that's what we're known for. That's something to take pride in. And I think it gives people joy, because my presumption is that people from smaller cities, they move out all the time. And in large parts because they feel like they've outgrown their city. So the productive people move. So maybe they go to New Orleans, maybe they go out of state, maybe they go to Texas, Houston, etc. Now imagine if those people have something to be proud of. They're like, man, my city's killing it. There's so much upside here. Those talented people are more likely to stay in the city, stay in the community. They know the community better, and it benefits as a net positive for those communities, for the economy, etc. So I'm really glad to see 50 Cent go on with this. And one of the important things that 50 Cent was talking about, one of the things that he was talking about was money. Hurricane Chris, when he was criticizing 50 Cent, one of the quotes that was taken from this article that was written about what 50 Cent was trying to do is, I'm at a point in my career where I'm more concerned with my legacy. To me, the entrepreneurial spirit is a tunnel that doesn't end, but when it's to the benefit of other people, your legacy grows because they'll feel the effect of it, and it starts to work outside of you. And I don't think this is some PR answer that 50 Cent is giving, because if we're to take a look at, which I may do for a completely separate video, the appreciation that 50 Cent has for those that were instrumental to his success, such as Eminem, such as Dr. Dre, he's locked in with these guys. He still has close relationships for these guys, and he always goes to bat for these guys. If anybody shows any type of disrespect, not even disrespect, if anybody shows any type of diminishing intention towards the legacy, success, skill level, or anything that 50 Cent or that Eminem has accomplished or Dr. Dre has accomplished, 50 Cent immediately shuts that down. He's like, nah, Eminem's the greatest rapper. And then he's like, nah, Dr. Dre is this. And that level of loyalty shows the appreciation that he has for people that put him in the position to win. And I think he's inclined to do that to the next generation of people too. And there have already been people that have acted in some of his shows, I think in BMF, that were talking about how happy they were that he reached out to them. But let me know what you guys think about this whole thing in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.